The following are true scary stories found on the subreddit Let's Not Meet. I'll have a link in the description below. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more. At the end of today's video, since it is Friday and I won't have any videos up this weekend, I have an image that is completely horrifying and will haunt your dreams until Monday when you come back and get more videos from me. So make sure you stick around to the end. Viewer discretion is advised on that photo. And without any further ado, let's begin. When I was in high school, I had two friends that would hang out with me on a regular basis. We'd ride the bus together and everything, as we each lived about a 5-minute walk from each other. So one day, I ended up being sick and not being able to make it to school. It was a Friday, and apparently there was a homework assignment from our science teacher that needed to be done by Monday. One of my friends, Lisa, had the same science class as me and had taken my copy to give to me. She was walking to my house and planned to meet my other friend, Rachel, afterwards. So, my parents had taken one of my sisters somewhere for the afternoon, leaving me to watch my little brother and other sister. We were told never to answer the door unless Mom and Dad were home. I didn't know Lisa was coming. I didn't get a cell phone until the next year, so when she knocked on the door, I didn't answer. My room was upstairs and had a window overlooking the front yard and driveway, so I opened the blinds to see Lisa starting to walk away. I opened the window and called down to her. She explained the assignment and had the paper to give to me. She stopped midway through explaining it to me, looking over her shoulder and looking very uncomfortable. She looked back up at me and asked if she could come in for a while. We usually weren't allowed to have people over without parent permission, especially since she was a girl and I was a boy. I told her I wasn't allowed to invite her in. She gets more frantic, seeming extremely nervous, asking again, almost begging me this time. That's when I see him. The guy had walked down the hill that she had just come from. He was an African American man of average height. I don't remember the clothes he was wearing, but there were 3 things that set me on edge. 1. His creepy-ass wicked grin he kept the whole time. 2. He was wearing bright pink latex gloves. Yes, latex. And 3. He was holding one of those long, heavy flashlights that you see security and police sometimes use. He just stood there in the middle of the road, staring and grinning. When Lisa asked a 3rd time, this time almost in tears, the man let out a terrifying laugh. The only way I can describe it is he sounded like a damn villain. It started as a low chuckle and got louder over time. At that, I looked down at Lisa and told her to get to the door. I sprinted down the stairs to the front door, opening it and letting her in. The guy was still laughing, but this time, I saw him walking towards us. After Lisa was inside, I slammed the door and locked the deadbolt and handle. Seconds later, he starts pounding on the door, and I mean pounding. This guy starts ringing the doorbell over and over in rapid succession while pounding. He started jiggling the handle in the midst of this stuff as well. We ran up to my room and locked the door. My sister and brother were in there as well, since they were up there when this whole thing started. They didn't know what was going on and they were getting scared. Lisa was in tears. I looked out the window, hoping the guy would leave, but he didn't. The pounding and ringing kept going. I was just working up the courage to leave my room, run to the kitchen, and use the landline to call the police when I saw my dad's truck stopping at the mailbox down the road. I yelled in relief as I grabbed the nearest hard object and sprinted down the stairs. Part of the way down the hall, the knocking stops. I throw open the door, knowing my dad was in the driveway by now, ready to smash this guy's skull in. The guy had already walked down the steps to where my dad was, acting really nervous. He claimed he was selling magazines. My dad told him no, and the guy just chuckled sheepishly and walked away. Later, I learned that Rachel had been about to leave her house to meet Lisa when she saw the guy walking down the street. Something about him set her on edge, and she locked herself in her house and decided not to go out. From that day on, the 3 of us would tell this story and refer to the guy as Mr. Mittens. Those latex gloves still creep me out every time I think about him. It's July 9th, 2015, and this just happened to me this morning. I'm a lifeguard at my university, and it's an easy enough job. Guarding a 4-foot pool with 30-minute rotations for 4 or 5-hour shifts is pretty freaking ideal. I've worked this job through most of my college career, so I've learned how to do the least amount of work as possible while still seeming like a good worker. One of the things I've learned is that opening shifts require the least amount of effort. It's usually way cooler than any other shift. There's a minimal amount of patrons. Guards are usually too tired to talk, so I get to avoid useless conversation, and I'm done with my day before most people even wake up. Pretty good deal if you ask me. I live about 1.5 miles north of campus. It's literally down the street, so I opt out of taking my car and instead ride my penny. The ride couldn't be more perfect. It's dark, the streets are empty, and the city has this calm that simply doesn't exist while the sun's up. On Monday morning, I leave to my usual route to work. About 1 mile in, I notice a woman enter the sidewalk about 15 yards ahead. She walks in the middle of the sidewalk, leaving no room for my tiny-ass board or myself to ride around her. Annoyed, I get off the board and begin walking toward her. She's a petite woman, probably in her mid to late 30s. She's dressed in basic black workout clothes, and there really isn't anything off about her. She starts up a conversation with the casual and oddly energetic and high-pitched,
"Good morning,"
and proceeds to ask me questions that are seemingly harmless. She asks me what I'm doing up so early, where I'm heading to, how I ride such a small board, and whether I'm a student. You know, the basic small talk bullshit. After about 5 minutes of the casual chatter, I realize I'm running late and politely leave the conversation and think nothing of it. Tuesday comes and I make my trek to work. Again, at the same place and around the same time, I see the woman position herself in the same damn spot on the sidewalk. Again, I get off my board and proceed to walk towards her. Just as the day before, she begins the conversation with questions. This time, however, the questions are more specific and thoughtful, opposed to the mindless small talk questions she had spewed at previously. She asks how often I work openings, and if I have a boyfriend who's worried about me walking alone in the dark. I tell her that I have a boyfriend at home who worries and that I have the shift Monday through Friday. To both statements, she seemed excited and content. I assumed she was just an ally or something, and again, politely leave the conversation. Come Wednesday, I was annoyed but still friendly when she continued with her questions. She asked if I ever get afraid walking in the streets by myself, if I carry any weapons to protect myself, and mentions that I should be more careful because the world is full of
sickos and rapists.
I agree, and even make a mental note to buy some pepper spray during the weekend. Thursday comes, and this time I'm prepared. If you didn't guess, I'm not one for unnecessary small talk, especially so early in the morning. I had made a plan to simply ride across the street if I saw her. To my surprise, there was no sign of her. Feeling relieved, I kept riding the same route. The street is full of pebbles and rocks, and I really didn't feel like risking a fall by crossing the street. I looked down on my phone to change the song that I was listening to, when from behind me I hear a high-pitched,
"That's her! Go!"
I look behind me to see the same woman crouched by a bush, as if she's hiding herself from my view. Then out of fucking nowhere, a man in an orange hoodie is sprinting full speed towards me. He's kind of on the short side, maybe a little taller than me. What he lacks in height, he makes up for in width. The guy looks like a homeless linebacker. We're right next to the dorms, which I know like the back of my hand from my freshman year of living there. I figure I'd be better off running than riding, so I hop off my board and make a quick left to the dorms. There's a satellite police station just past the dorms, so I know that if I can make it there, I'll at least have a chance. I can hear the man's breaths of exhaustion, and I can smell his body odor just inches away from me as I sprint Forrest Gump style through the campus. All I can think about while running is how pissed I am that the stupid lifeguard uniform requires flip-flops. One can only run so fast in a pair, and I can feel them falling off my feet. That's when I realize that I'm in full uniform, meaning I have a freaking Fox 40 classic whistle around my neck. If you ever heard those things fully blasted, you'd know how deafening they can be. I start blowing like a tea kettle as loud as possible while still running. I can see the station just 25 yards or so ahead of me, and I'm so fucking close to salvation when I feel my legs fall from underneath me. The pain of the gravel beneath my knees and the impact of the fall forces all of the air out of me. I look to see my flip-flop ripped and my foot bleeding from the road burn. I frantically turn around, fully prepared to die or be kidnapped or whatever the fuck this guy had planned. But instead, nothing happens. I look up and see no one. I scan the area, completely dumbfounded, and that's when I see him. He's standing right around the bend. about 30 yards away from me, standing completely fucking still. Not even breathing heavily from the run. He's just standing there staring at me. I want to run, but I can't help but stare back. This lasts for what seems like forever until he smiles and waves a very eerily slow goodbye and walks away. I don't know how long I stood there until I got up the courage to limp back to my board and head to work. Now that I've had time to relax and let the adrenaline run its course, I can't fathom how lucky I was. This was obviously premeditated. That woman and that man worked together in the effort to do whatever the fuck they had planned to do to me. She had scoped me out for almost a week, relying on my naivety to gain information. The sick bitch even gave me a warning about people like her. And something about his wave and his smile makes me can't help but think he intends to see me again. I went to the police and filed a report. They had no prior knowledge of this sort of thing occurring around the area, but they said they're going to be keeping a lookout for him. Maybe it was the whistling or the close proximity of the station, but something caused that man to reconsider. I don't know if he's going to try again, but I do know that I'm never riding to work in the dark. So, woman with the annoying voice and the man in the hoodie, let's never meet again. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe so you can catch all my future content. I told you before the video that there was an image I had searched for hours and it was completely horrifying. I have that image and I'm about to show it. I'm hoping it'll burn an image in your mind and just remind you to come back Monday for my next video. I really appreciate your guys' support. Viewer discretion is advised for this image, and just remember, it's always scarier if it's true.